When you think of crochet clothing, do you think of those granny vests that we used to wear in the 70s or the beer can hats? Well, let me share another world of crochet clothing with you. Let me interrupt this video for a moment to bring you some breaking news. Servant Crafts has reached 500 subscribers, and we want to let you know that we are so grateful and we appreciate your support. We also are so thankful to you for your confidence in the content that we bring. Thank you for joining our crafting community. We hope to continue to grow and grow together in this journey, and we thank you for being a part of it with us. And we pray that you are richly blessed and you continue to join us in this journey. Let's take this time today to expand our horizons of crochet clothing. It can be elegant, sophisticated, very detailed and dainty, and just soft and luxurious. It can be something to wear to an elegant evening out, possibly a special occasion, or it could be something to wear just to be comfortable and to feel beautiful. So let me introduce you to this book of these elegant and sophisticated crochet clothing items, one of which I'm wearing today. I made it for myself for my birthday. It was a gift from my husband to allow me to get some more yarn, since in the past I've told you about my yarn problem. But I wanted to try this particular yarn. It is a 100% bamboo yarn, and it is in a fine lace weight, and I had never worked with anything like that before. And I have been in love with this top and the pattern for this top for years and years, but I've never made it, and I especially never made it for myself, and now I'm so happy to have it. I love it. I finished it, and I'm excited to be able to wear it out for the first time. Here's a better look at the book. This is called Elegant Two-Piece Sets in Thread Crochet. It is made, all these patterns are recommended to be worked up in size 10 thread crochet cotton. And Aunt Lydia's is usually the brand that I use. But I have made one or two of these tops, and I loved them. But I recently discovered this bamboo crochet thread, and I really thought that might make this top lighter weight and a little bit softer, a little bit more delicate. So I was anxious to give it a try. Here are the other patterns that are in this book. You can see there is a top and a skirt for each. So there's a total of four sets or 8 patterns. I'm not a big fan of the horizontal stripes on the skirts, so when I make a skirt, I will definitely alter the pattern some. So here you can see there are many pages in the book of this for this pattern, and you can actually see the top on a much more lovely model, not like me. This this yarn that I used is called Jubilee Yarn, Minnesota, Delightfully Fine. It is a 60% bamboo and a 40% tencel. And you may say, like I did, what the heck is tencel? So I did some research so that I could be a little smarter today and allow you to do the same. Tencel, it says, is somewhat similar to rayon or viscose because they are what's referred to as regenerated cellulose fibers. So they are manufactured by dissolving wood pulp in a chemical solvent, and then it's pushed through an extruder, and that forms the fibers. The big difference is that rayon requires more energy and more harsh chemicals to produce, so it's both wasteful and toxic for its workers. But tencel, on the other hand, uses chemicals that are much less toxic and they get recycled in the process, so there's very minimal waste. It also uses wood from trees that are naturally sustainable and harvested from sustainable forests. So there you go. Now you and me both know what tinsel is. This pattern requires a gauge, and in order to use this yarn and to get the correct gauge, I did need to use a size 3.5 crochet hook. It's a little bit larger than what they recommend, but it did work up really, really nicely. So as you can see, this yarn comes in packs of 4, and since I knew I needed at least 5 or 6, I bought 2 packs. So I did end up with 2 full skeins and 1 almost full skein left over. Now, also to let you know, I did increase the size on this. I'll tell you about that later. So that's why I used so much yarn. As you can see, this yarn, because of the bamboo and the tinsel, it has a slight sheen to it, which is just lovely. It adds to the softness of the fiber, I think, as well. And the color that I used, it comes in over 30 colors, but the one I chose to use is called Frozen Tide Pool. It does have some washing instructions. It says you can wash it on the gentle cycle using lukewarm water. Do not bleach and do not use softener. It says also that it can be tumble dried on the delicate cycle. It says do not wring, do not iron, or you can dry it flat. So my plan is to probably wash it by hand and dry it flat. But we'll see how that works. So here's some of the lace that I've worked up. You can see here's the hook that I have used in order to get the correct gauge. It's really important when you're making clothing to always test your gauge. So this is a D or a 3 size hook. And that is what I needed to get the gauge right for the number of stitches and the number of rows. And you can see that this lace fabric works up really lovely. The yarn, you can see, is very fine. It is thicker than a thread, and maybe, like sewing thread, and maybe slightly thinner than the crochet cotton that it recommends, slightly. It's also softer. The cotton tends to be a little bit more stiff when it works up. So I really loved the fact that this was so soft and delicate, and it just feels lovely to wear. You can see the lace pattern here is formed by a V-stitch, which is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in the chain 2 space of the stitch below, and then there's a double crochet in the center between those, the next stitch. So I didn't work much of this on camera since most of it was just kind of for personal use, but you can see that it forms kind of almost a vertical pattern, vertical striping type pattern. It's very lacy, it's very delicate, it's very soft, and it's very open, but not super open. I mean, you do have to obviously put a cami underneath, but it's not so open that it becomes kind of just strange. So this is how it worked up, and it is a pattern that is worked in basically one piece, which is really nice. There's very limited sewing in this pattern because you work it from the waist tie. There's a waist tie up till you get to where you're going to start shaping for the inset for the sleeves and the shoulders, and then you work and all that is worked in one piece all the way around, so there are no side seams in this at all. There are the shoulder seams and then the seams to put in the sleeves, and that's it. There is a seam down the base of the sleeve, to sew up the sleeve. So it is a minimal sewing kind of a pattern, but it does have quite a bit of detail. Most of the sweater or the top is worked in this shell pattern, and it's repeated throughout the whole sweater. But then you come back and you form a drawstring row, and then you attach the base or the kind of the trim or the ruffle, whatever you want to call the bottom of it. And that is with using the shell pattern, but then with some made pleats in it. And I'll show you here in these next couple pictures how I changed the pattern and how I needed to change the pattern. Now here's the finished sweater. I did make it, I tend to be long in my waist area. So I wanted this blouse to end up being kind of blousy or loose on a little bit. I don't like things to be really tight, and when I raise my arms I feel like they pull up. So I had already made this about 10 or 15 rows longer than it said for the main piece. But when I worked all the way up into the armhole shaping, and I sewed the shoulder seams, and then I tried it on and I found out it was just too short for me, too short. And to put all this work in and then not be comfortable wearing it just wasn't worth it. So I tore it all the way back to where I unsewed the shoulder seams and ripped out everything that I had done for the armhole shaping in the shoulders. Now here you can see the finished sleeve. This has got a drawstring in it as well as the bottom, and it's got this beautiful pleat detail. It is just, to me, what really drew my attention and captured my interest in this sweater. The drawstring is, according to the pattern, is done in the yarn, but you certainly could do something different. It has 12 buttons is how I made it, because I did extend the torso piece so much. I ended up extending it about 25 rows or another 20 rows beyond what I had originally extended it. And I also extended it around. As you can see, there's kind of a button placket. Well, that wasn't in the pattern. It just had a 2-row button placket, and I extended it to about 10 rows on each side. That allowed me to make it a little bit looser and more comfortable for me without starting all over again. I had already ripped out the top half, and I didn't want to rip out everything else. So, like I said, I did work these over and over again. I worked the sleeves completely twice, because the first sleeve I made was too short. So I extended the length of the sleeve. I want the sleeve and the ruffle base of the sleeve to hit at about my elbow. So the tie being about mid upper arm, and then the actual end of the sleeve at about the elbow. So I did work in an extra, I think, 15 rows in the sleeves. So again, I know myself, so I can modify this according to knowing myself. Now, I would love to make this to order for others. So it will be available on my Etsy shop and in my on my website as a made to order. You could select your own. Here's where I'm showing you where the button placket actually was supposed to be just 2 rows each side, and I extended it about 10 rows on each side, allowing me for a little bit more just more ease in it. And then this base underneath the tie, you work that not separately, but you work that, you finish the top torso, and then you work this, and it has these lovely pleats in it as well, just like the sleeves do. So there's 2 pleats in the front and 2 pleats in the back. I'll flip it over here in just a second and show you the pleats in the back. And those, I believe, you could press down. Now this yarn says don't iron, so you would have to do it by kind of holding the iron above it, put a damp cloth between the iron and the crochet fabric, and don't touch the iron down to the fabric, just to let it steam. And you could get more of a crease into these kind of pleats, but I really kind of like them just free and kind of ruffly. So here's my birthday present, and I am willing and happy to work something similar up for you if you would like to gift it to yourself or to someone else you love. So make sure you check out our description. It will have all of the information to purchase the pattern book, the yarn, the crochet hooks, and it will also have directions and links for you to go to our website and to be able to request a made-to-order, beautiful crochet, elegant, sophisticated top. If I start to work on any of the other patterns in this book in the future, you'll be the first to know. And again, like I said, I would love to have a lovely crocheted skirt, but I'm not too fond of those horizontal stripes around your hips and your thighs. So I would be working that up in a different way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you use your God-given talents to bless others and to have a very blessed day.